a 125-year-old heritage-listed school, the only local school in the area in one of Brisbane's fastest-growing suburbs, gets closed down. The local park up the road, full of community sporting facilities, the soccer field, the cricket pitches, the basketball, all that, gone. Houses are going to be demolished. And all for what? So you can get a couple of thousand extra seats at the Gabba?
The Olympics will be history-making for Brisbane, but it could also spell the end of an historic chapter in Wollongabba.
Students, teachers and parents in Brisbane are staging a protest this morning to try to save their school.
The group of youngsters lining the streets around the Gabba in a rally to save their classrooms.
So once we knew that it was earmarked at the Gabba, we were really worried as a community what would happen to our school that was actually sort of facing growth in its population.
The school's a great size, it's about 300 students, which allows for it to be small enough that the principal, the teachers, we all know each other. They literally know every child. And so many of the kids walk to school, which means that the parents can stop and talk to each other after the drop-off, and we get to know each other and we support each other. Whereas if they had to go to Cooperoo, which is a couple of suburbs away, which is where the new school's proposed to be, they'd have to get in the car, they'd have to fight traffic.
I live in a traditional street with houses, but around us are apartment blocks going up, and these apartment blocks cater for all different demographic groups. But we feel like that the government thinks that there are no children in these apartments, and that means that they wouldn't require primary school. But this isn't the case. When we look at the school, plenty of the children actually live in apartments.
I live with my family in an apartment, and our community, we monitor a lot of the developments that go along the DAs and that sort of thing. And what's really striking with a lot of the new DAs is the apartments that are going up, they're 3 and 4 bedrooms. So the developers know families are moving into this area.
I understand that some children are quite affected by the unknown of where they're going to go to school, where their friends will be, where their teachers are.
You know, a lot of these children are going to see psychologists. The parents are upset, and this upset goes through to the home. Kids are playing up and got a lot of angst due to this decision. They're going to lose their school.
And people who don't go to our school don't realise what a beautiful tight-knit community we are, and I think our children are entitled to have that continuity of education and teachers and school.
But they don't understand that that school is not just benefiting those 300 students right now. It has benefited thousands before that, and it will benefit thousands after that. And even if it doesn't directly benefit someone through sending their child there, it benefits by being part of their community, by being a visible symbol that shows this is the heart, this is our community. We have these things, we value education in our community.
This is not sentimentality, this is just common sense and economics and practicality and logic. The area needs a school.
There is a PDA, a priority development area, that's been earmarked. You know, they are saying that we can't be on our existing site when the demolition of the Gabba is being undertaken. So why not build us a brand new school within this area that they've earmarked for quick development?
We've lived in this area for 40 years plus, and it was one of the reasons we bought the house here. It's right on that park. We loved it. It's ours. It's our community's.
Since the 1800s, it has one of the oldest football club in Brisbane, and it's seen generations of kids playing cricket and soccer. If we need to have more density in the city, we are going to need green space. It's the only green space that we have in Kangaroo Point at the moment. We can't afford to lose it.
In a strong way, this is the soul of the community, this Raymond Park. There are 3,000 people live within close walking distance of the park, and probably going to be a lot more. And if you take the park away from them, I think it'll just rip the guts out of the area. The area will have no heart.
This is our land. We know that. We stayed here for a long time. I had all my siblings. They grew up at that state school. I don't want to see that go. And we always get our family gathering, all us family. And we always meet up here at the park.
They have assured us that this park is going to be taken from us only for the period of the games, and that it'll be back to normal again afterwards. But we just can't see how that's going to happen.
The government wants their own way. They've got their own plan for what they want to happen. They want it to happen no matter what. They don't want to take, and they're taking no notice of the local community. They've never consulted. Despite what they say, they've never talked to anybody. They have never shown any concern or remorse at the hurt that they're causing this community.
I find it very surprising that they seem to have made this decision to put an Olympic warm-up track into this park without knowing either how big the park was or how big they needed an Olympic warm-up track to be.
Throughout the whole 18 months, they've kept on saying that the athletics track fits into the area available in Raymond Park, and that there's no intention to resume houses. So we've had that story now for 18 months until finally they admitted about 3 months ago that there was a budget for resumptions, and resumptions would happen in order to build an athletics track that was temporary in nature.
So, in other words, we're being told that you've got to go because you're in the way, and we need that land that your family home is on to build this track.
Resume our house, bulldoze our house, level our house, tell us go and find another place now to live. Doesn't matter about your dreams and your aspirations and your family history. That's too bad. That means nothing to us. We want this block of land to put a track down on associated buildings, and you can find somewhere else to live, and it's gone forever.
I think the community are also extremely angry that the state government feel it necessary to spend $2.7 billion on a brand new stadium rebuild when the state is in a housing crisis, it's in a healthcare crisis, it's in a youth crime crisis. There is no money for our state schools, and yet they're prioritising spending on replacing a stadium that's already there.
We have a big state. We have a lot of rural areas where funding is needed. You know, there's maternity hospitals that haven't got beds.
When they start this construction, not only building it, but pulling it down, it's going to be a nightmare.
When this goes ahead, obviously there's going to be longer peak times. It'll be hard to get out, harder to get in.
In the Queensland Government's first proposal to the IOC, they had proposed that Albion, which is only 10 minutes north of the city, would have the new stadium for the Olympics. The IOC came back with questions. They proposed the Carrara Stadium for the athletics and the Gabba for ceremonies. And that is certainly something that we would support, because anything that prevents the Gabba from being demolished and rebuilt means potentially that the East Brisbane State School could remain where it is.
The Olympics boss himself actually said, well, all we need with the Gabba is a lick of paint.
The moment that someone stepped out of line and said, the Gabba just needs a lick of paint, you could see how quickly the spin doctors came in to try and control the message, right? And that's it, is that they have always wanted to demolish that Gabba, and they've always wanted to get their grubby hands on that piece of land that our beautiful school sits on. And this is finally the opportunity for them to try and do that, because they know that there is a sentiment in the community that sports equals good. And it's a deeply cynical process and way to go about closing our 123-year-old school.
It really is the David and Goliath battle between the local residents and the state government. We've put petitions where we've had 3,000 plus signatories. We've had community meetings. We've engaged our local, state and federal representatives. We've been on all the news channels, but the government still don't want to listen.
It's been really hard for this community. Like, we'll have jobs, we'll have kids, and we're trying to preserve the history of the school in our spare time, and we're going up against a government that's fully resourced with billions of dollars and thousands of staff. But it's the right thing to do. That's why we do it. It's the right thing to do. Call me a foolish idealist, but there's a whole bunch of foolish idealists in our community at the moment.